Okay, we're live.
All right, you ready to go? We'll call this meeting to order. It is 5:33. We'll do roll call. Jacob.
Here.
Owen.
Here.
Russia and Candy are not here. Yvonne's not here. Stephen.
Yep.
You go by Stephen?
Yep.
And I'm here. All right. Is that good enough for
That's great.
Crystal? Public comments? Is that you guys?
Yeah, that's, I was just following up on what the committee had talked about for maybe the chamber's role in one of the last music in the park in August.
Can I pause you?
Yep.
Would you, for your
Oh,
record,
I'm
state your
sorry.
names?
I'm sorry, my name is Nicole Hassan. I'm here with the executive director of the Paloma Chamber of Commerce.
Who else do you have
And
here?
I'm with Billy Scott, a board member of the Paloma Chamber of Commerce. Sorry. Okay. Yeah. So I'm just curious if you had all followed up. I had followed up with my board. I know you guys had talked about asking us if we could do all of them. Something that's going to be not going to probably fly with us. I don't think we can do all of them, but we're still very interested in the last one. I know that's a Sunday.
Yeah.
That one's going to work the best. And so I just kind of wanted to follow up on your end of things. And then I think I hit that correct.
And I think I wanted to clarify a couple things was overall music in the park is put on by the city of Paloma. Like that's the main force behind it.
Yes.
But the last few years, there's been a kind of a title sponsor, music sponsor, Pioneer, kind of supporting that, getting the recognition for that, kind of taking the bull by the horns by it. How did things go when we asked to be a part of it last year as the chamber of trying to connect more relationships, have more presence in the community, things like that? And we felt like that was a great event, end of summer, it was a great turnout. And that's where we thought, man, we need to do this again. But we also want to not be stepping on toes and do it accordingly to make sure that the whole mission is music in the park. How do we, provide value to the community on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, but also how do we be involved and have other vendors or people involved from the community, like Maxtivity or some other places that have talked about wanting to do it. And then more information about the fundraiser for the bucket, like pass around the bucket for donations to a certain cause. I know I was asking more, is every music in the park, do they have a different bucket or a different representation that passes around the bucket that goes to? So multiple places have an opportunity, or is it just, this is the way we've done it, this is where it goes, this is who handles it? So those were just kind of the outside the box questions that I had. Is that something that we can clarify or learn more about and kind of hear from the park's perspective?
Yeah, and I can answer that a little bit. I think, so basically Billy has some ideas that for the future music in the park, probably not for this year because we already have it structured, but that might be some ideas for structuring music in the park different. What I would recommend, Billy, is that if you can like jot down those ideas and submit it to the park board.
Yeah.
That way they can decide if they want to put it on the agenda and kind of discuss that for future, like, is that something that we want to do? For now, it is the Philomath Performing Arts Benefit Fund that has, as far as I know, that's always been what donations have been collected for. So that goes directly to students. The money from that goes directly to students here at the schools. And has been that way as far as I know. And then as far as I know, also the Pioneer has always sponsored music in the park. Peak and Pioneer used to pair up when it started, but it's always been Pioneer. And then several years ago, we opened it up, like after I got here, to some smaller sponsorships because some of the businesses were like, can we get our name on there? Can we do something? But I know you have some different ideas, and that's probably the best way to do it. That way they can put it as an agenda item and discuss it. Yeah. What do you think, Clary? Anything else to add to that or questions?
Well, I think we've been, I was going to say we've been doing this. I haven't been involved in that, but it's 10 years, isn't it?
Yeah,
Is this the
so
10th year or
this
is
is
this
the
the
ninth
9th year?
operating
Okay.
year because COVID was switched,
Oh.
skipped, yeah, for 2020.
We all,
Yeah, I mean, COVID wasn't skipped, but the Music in the Park was skipped due to COVID.
And I think I see it as evolving, but I also see it as important to get as many people as involved. So for instance, the last year, when you guys sponsored that last one, there were more people there, there was more things going on, and that's a good thing as far as I'm concerned. And so the more we can get people involved, the better. So if you have specific ideas, not we can necessarily do them this year, but we can plan for the future. And the board, it has 3 new members on it, so they're rookies and we can put them to work.
Really 4, we have 4, a majority is Yasha, Candy, Lisa, all new.
I'm just kidding.
Are you? Not anymore.
So anyway, I don't know if that answers one of your questions or not, but I think it's important to get, I mean, it's a community event. We want people to come.
And that's kind of what I thought. So I appreciate the feedback because it was like, man, how do we get more of this kind of turnout? But we all know it's just like people's social media. You have a different friend group than you have, and you have, and you have, and there's overlapping, but then there's new people within each person's group that the more you combine that, the more exposure, which leads to more engagement, more people knowing about it. And then people seeing it as not just like, yeah, it's just a local event of, oh man, this is an event you don't want to miss out on. And create some sense of urgency. Like there's not just music, there's other like vendors there and there's other people running around and they bring a different dynamic of multiple people or diversity or whatever. Yeah, I think there's some ideas in that regard of if each month's Music in the Park maybe had a different main vendor helping out. So they could get a little bit of promoting and spread the word, and that hits some groups that normally wouldn't. And another vendor the next month. So just kind of that cross collaboration, but not just an I or me approach, but how do we get more exposure for what the city's doing, compound on the music, bring in vendors, which brings in people, like how do we make it the best of both worlds for everybody and just make it a bigger event? And then it'll create opportunity, whether it's, hey, we're looking for a food sponsor that can offer 200 hot dogs or whatever it may be. Who wants to be the lead on that? And if everybody pitches in a little, it can go a long ways. It's not just the limited funds that the city has to put towards Music in the Park. And I think some of that will just create more people wanting to be involved.
Yeah, and we have discussed this as a park board before, just to really to help with the volunteer aspect of it and running each concert. So yeah, if you want to submit something, just submit something. It doesn't have to be giant write-up, but just your general ideas. We can probably get it on an agenda to talk about here in the next few months.
Yeah, because we've tried, like, I think it's also important to get activities for families, you know, get kids to do stuff. And then we've had a library in the past, but now Wednesday, we changed it to Wednesday and they're not able to do.
We actually, we'll get to that. I want to make sure
Okay.
that we're not talking about our agenda item that is public comment area.
All right.
Yeah, sorry, we have just formal rules for public meetings.
That's fine.
Our answer for a Sunday on your agenda or no?
You are good for Sunday. I think the
That
board
last
decided yes.
Sunday.
Yeah.
we're good for
Yeah, we have you
Yeah.
scheduled for it.
As far as-
We're promoting that
I
already.
didn't hear it, so.
We're promoting it.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're in the book somewhere.
Yeah, you're good to go.
I like that. I
Yes.
appreciate that, like seeing addition of activities this year is heartening
Yeah.
and I think anything that brings more people in is gonna be great, because it's like,
Well, keep going. Get a hold of me about marketing. Okay, all
And
right.
then while we're on the record, I think Miss Candy Garcia needs to be on written probation and mandatory definition.
Are you just convincing for me?
So public comments, we're now on to approval of minutes. We have the minutes from March 3rd meeting. You They have had an opportunity, I'm sure, to go through and with fine tooth comb. Are there any additions or corrections?
There was one spelling error.
What one?
Missing a U and such. Oh, line 10, page 3.
3, line 10.
Events.
Okay. Page 3, line 10 of the minutes should be corrected. Okay. That's a minor correction, so you can just
Such as?
make an amendment, or you don't need to make an amendment because it's mine. Just go through them and we'll make the
All right.
fix.
If there are, or I'll entertain a motion, or I'll hear a motion for approval of the minutes.
I'd make a motion to approve the minutes.
And a second.
Second that motion.
All right.
There we are.
Motion's been made and seconded to approve the minutes of the March 3rd Park Advisory Board meeting. All those in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Opposed likewise? All right, passes unanimously. Now we get to music in the park plan.
Like the camp.
Okay, so then do you have the,
Can we go through it?
yeah, I was wondering, when I saw in the minute or in there, the list of dates and things that, has that been printed up yet or not?
Yeah, so.
I mean, as far as.
It's on the agenda. item somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, as far as
Oh, no, that's in this AIS, that's not done quite yet, but I can just go through it a little bit and we can talk through the sections.
All right. So we're on page 5?
Mhm.
Oh,
So, we have several things we're planning to talk about at this meeting. We could start with the lineup and marketing. So I have confirmed everyone that's on this lineup schedule. So they're all confirmed bands, activities. This is the first time that I know of ever, unless it was when there were like 3 concerts during the whole summer, but that we have activities at every concert. I reached out to our 3, the 3 primary groups that do kids activities that would kind of fit within this, which is the Library of Activity and the museum, and they were, between the 3 of them, able to cover all of the concerts, which is great. On occasion, I have seen cancellations. Sometimes there's staffing issues. They do all have small staff. So that's a possibility, but it is really exciting to see that they are planning to come to every concert, including the weekends, which we've not really had consistently before. I've also confirmed with Medovan Pizza, and I put tentative for Lions Club because I thought it was tentative after the meeting that Gary Black, the Public Works Operations Supervisor, and I attended. But they did apparently vote after we left and did vote to attend the Wednesday meetings again. They declined to attend the first, the school band kickoff. It's just not been really, they've ended up with a lot of additional product. It's just not been worth it for them necessarily to come. They don't feel like it's benefiting the community when they're kind of having a loss, and they just, there's not, it's just kind of it's a different event. There's the people who attend are typically the families. They usually are, I have kids, so usually you've structured that into your, we've already had dinner, we're going to run over and do this thing, so I just feel like that's what's happening. But the library, I believe confirmed to be there at that, but I think they were still kind of looking at it. I had let them know, you know, if you can't make it to that one, it is kind of its own little special community event, and it just has a different feel, so, you know, it's not going to be the end of the world if they can't. So generally, the bands, as you can see, we got top bands. I think the only exception was August 12th. There was a little bit of scheduling issues. The band that we'd put in there actually was only able to do one date, and I tried to see if a couple could swap, and they couldn't. This is the way that it came out. But overall, I think it's good. We have some returning bands and we have some new bands, and I think that's generally what the park board has been trying to do year after year, so.
So the August 12th, Dave's isn't going to be there, or they are?
They are,
Yeah.
but the band that originally was a little bit higher up in your list that I worked with was not able to be there. I am trying to find a way for us to keep a little bit better year-to-year records of who maybe didn't quite get a chance, or like for that band, for instance, they were rated very high. We just couldn't make it work with our schedule anywhere. But it would be nice to be able to pass that on to the park board kind of year after year for consideration. Because, you know, they are, I think, a local band, and
Well, I
couldn't make
think
it
in
work this
the way you set that up, there was some notation as far as they had applied the year
Yeah.
before and so on, so they're,
Their score could probably be pretty easily added, correct? As far as what their score was last year. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah, like rankings.
Like whether or not they made it, how high they were.
Yeah, so it might be good additional information to consider. Okay. And let's see what else I have. Yeah, I also have reached out to the bands that are not on this list to see if they are willing to fill in. We usually, not always, have at least one concert that someone has to back out for some reason. We like to have a list of other bands that we can contact. So I think I have a list of maybe 5 or 6, which is good. And most of them are pretty local to us, so they can kind of hop in. I will note, sorry if we go back to the front page, so we had eliminated that Wednesday, June concert. We have decided to add that back in. Part of that was in fairness to the Lions. It was part of negotiating with the Lions and hearing their concerns and why things weren't working for them any longer. So we've added that in. I will put it on the list of hopefully volunteers from the park board can help with it. If not, we'll find staff to run that concert. But it was a small thing to give, and the band that was selected for that after we chose it did play as a fill-in for us last year. So we asked them to come back because they really did us a huge favor by short notice filling in last year, and they were great. People really liked them. Okay. Yeah, we're all sorry. So we've updated our Music in the Park webpage. We've actually redesigned it. So if you go on the city's website, if you haven't seen it before, you probably won't know the difference, but it's had a pretty big makeover. It looks really good. And we have redesigned our calendar events and how those are populated. So if you go on our city calendar and you find Music in the Park events, they are just looking really great for people to share and find all the information for each concert. The feedback we got from the Lions Club related to marketing, that was one of their concerns, was that they were feeling a little bit like people didn't know that there was food. I don't know. I think it's just a difference of who you ask and how they get information. And as a city, we deal with this all the time for all of the information that we put out.
Yeah.
It's very hard to hit every population and which population most wants this information and how do they receive that. And because we have limited staff, we don't have like full-time communication people. It is a little difficult. But one of their suggestions was doing little yard signs, kind of like concert this Wednesday, food and whatever. We're going to look into that, see if we can find a little bit of budget to get those. The other side of that, of course, is putting them out and taking them down. I can probably Sweet Talk Public Works into doing that for us, but I haven't talked to them yet. They always love it when I call them and ask them to do tasks like that, but they're generally very good and get them done. So
Is that ever something that companies donate?
maybe, yeah, it's possible.
Yeah, I think that would be something.
Yeah, it could be.
Not a huge cost for them to donate.
Sure. Yeah, I can see about that. And then We are going to have the reader board. We're actually getting a new reader board, so I'm hoping that will be installed within like a month or so. So it's going to be like the one at the fire department or similar. So we're going to be able to put a lot more graphic information on it, which is great.
Is that the one at Collins Park?
Yes, that's getting replaced. It's a very archaic system, and you actually have to take the only remaining laptop that has the operating system, and it's like on its last legs, and you have to take it down to the reader board. So rain or shine, our city reporter has to go down there to update the reader board. She's very excited to get something she can do from her desk. So yeah, so that's kind of a way that maybe this year we could look at just kind of adding to our marketing at low cost or maybe even donation. The other thing is that we used to have a couple banners. One would go down at the Dale Collins Park, just kind of, it was at 2 fence posts and it would go between that. And the other was at City Park. So when you would drive in, you would see it and it would say like music in the park, when, second Wednesday, fourth Sunday, June through August, 6 to 8, food, Pioneer, thank you, all of those things. So we're looking at redesigning those this year. They had some outdated information on them. We haven't used them for a couple years. So we'll see if we can get those replaced too. Okay, anything else on marketing or the lineup? Anyone has questions now or comments? No?
I
had just one comment. We had mentioned talking about next year later, and I don't want to bring a bunch up, but
Yes.
we also mentioned that first one of the year is kind of a smaller, more quiet one. Maybe next year we can portray it as similar to the end of summer as a kickoff to summer.
It's very difficult, and as staff, and I actually I've notified the teachers that we might not continue to do this and look for a different way to kind of celebrate the students and the fundraising efforts that we do for them. And the reason why is because they're great. The teachers that are doing it now are great, but I do know that it's one more thing that they're doing in their competition season right at the end of the school year. It's very hard to schedule. Weather, we've had some really bad weather before, and just like cold and raining, and it's become difficult. And the reason that it started, the people who are here that started it were working together. Like it was the teacher at the school, like at the high school, as a band teacher and a park board member, and they knew each other really well, and they started it. So we've just talked about it and thinking that maybe it's run its course. Next year is the 10th year. It might be an opportunity for us to consider and spend some more time this year. Just think about what we want the 10th year to look like and the next 10 years to look like. And that might be one of the things, is that we, find another.
Move forward.
We toyed around with that a couple of years ago and like, is there something else we could do or a different venue? And we kind of ended up we'll just keep trying this, but.
because if there are kids playing there, there's usually parents with them, but it hasn't been very consistent the last few years to how many groups are performing.
Right.
So that's been
part of it.
That's been the difficult part.
Yeah, so we've had some where they weren't able to get enough groups to come, so it's like they play for half an hour. And then we get complaint like, why is the concert only half an hour? Well, what do you want us to do? That's what they.
Yeah, it's all student driven.
It's student driven, and these are teachers who work full day jobs and are here in the evening, and so it is a little tough. But I want us to connect again on that, and I can reach out to the teachers and just say, hey, what kinds of things could we do that might be more beneficial?
So whole community.
Yeah, or even like hosting. Just a music in the park fundraiser that's different for the film, just doing something different, but
Absolutely.
yeah, we'll see. Okay. So moving on to sponsorships, Pioneer Connect has committed again to be the series sponsor for 2026. Thank you, Pioneer. Good Earth Pest Company has also recommitted to be a band level sponsor. As far as I know, that's who we have right now. Sorry if anyone's listening and you've also committed. I checked in about a week and a half ago with our finance department, and that's where we were at with our revenue that's come in. So that's great. We have also updated our sponsorship webpage, and you can now donate online. So we just, actually, the city just got access to a new platform for like signing up for volunteer efforts, signing up for sponsorships. We have both downtown flower baskets on there right now and sponsorship for music in the park. So we're hoping that's a little easier for some people rather than having to come in with a check or, you know, come into City Hall or mail something in.
Is there a certain dollar amount that you get to be band level?
Yeah, so I think there's two levels. It's 150 and 300, and then you get some different kind of perks depending on which one you choose.
Is that online? On the sponsorship?
Yeah, that's all online. Yeah. Okay, any other sponsorship questions or comments?
No, we had Figaro's at one time, but they haven't, did they help out last year or not?
I don't think they did last year. They did the year before. So they kind of come in usually every few years.
Today's are 265,
Well,
but I'm
maybe,
doing.
there you go. Maybe you want to mention it to them. I mean, their owner's probably not there tonight, but yeah, they've been a great sponsor in the past for sure. And we also added that. We've added our past sponsors on there. So you could all go on there and click, and we have the past years. So you could click and see who's sponsored in the past. Okay, so food vendors and event activities, again, Mud Oven Pizza has confirmed. And they are also working with the Chamber of Commerce, I have heard, for that end of summer event. Let's see. Yep, the Lions, as I said, they have officially voted and will be at the weekday concerts for food vendors, food vending. I will say, they're just in our meeting with the Lions Club, I think what the big thing that came out of it was, I don't think that they knew that this park board is so new, and a lot of you haven't lived here for a long time. And so I really brought that up to them, that because they were feeling like, you know, we used to get thanked, and park board used to come up to us and say, thank you for being here. And like, because they do provide the food at basically at a cost for them. So they are doing this as a community outreach event, similar to when they do like the pancake feeds, or they're not doing them as a fundraiser for themselves. They're doing them to like bring food to these events and make them better for people. And so I did point out to them, it's not because the park board doesn't appreciate you. It's really more, they don't know the history. They don't know how long you've been doing it. Some of them don't even know that you are not making a lot of money in a fundraiser. So I did tell them that I would pass that on to you, but also ask them to, you know, appreciate that, because most of them have been in the community for a really long time. And so just gave a little perspective that we have a lot of new community members in Philomath, and, you know, reach out and say hi.
Yeah, that's all good feedback.
Okay.
Is that under that lack of event management presence?
No, that's different. So they shared concerns that when they are running their food vending, they look official, they have their vests on, that they often are getting, like, a lot of people come up to them, like, they're the information booth, where are the restrooms?
Oh, sure.
When is the band going to start? That they don't feel like we have a presence, like they and part of me can see how that's happened. That kind of has a lot to do with this and trying to make sure that everyone is getting a little more official, adding a little bit more, getting up at the beginning and speaking on behalf of the city and the park board. I also, we're going to work on new shirts for this year. So we would like to get new t-shirts. We need them anyway, that are more like Philomath Park Board, but like music in the park on the back, like really big, so that people can see you easier, you know?
Yeah, because I feel like it would kind of just disappear into the crowd, and like almost having like a table that you sit at.
Yeah.
That might
Like,
help,
you don't
having
need
a
much.
presence
Maybe a suggestions box.
where you sit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About banners, maybe we have a banner that like that fits on a table.
We do have a city tablecloth that if you all are willing to try to help figure out how to do the table thing, We can't, there are tables in the Kugler shelter, which is nice, so we can, I'm sure that we can figure something out.
That makes sense to me now, that there is no real place to go,
Sure.
ask about it.
Right,
And if we had some
Yeah.
flyers, I mean,
Yeah.
even if we had the table there, and just had the, list of the bands and the dates and everything. And also we could have the donation.
the jug there,
Yeah,
So-
there's some
Yeah.
nice secondary effects of like having information about the city, about the boards,
yes.
and us serving as like a Q&A with the public of like, hey, we help manage and plan
Right.
this. And
Right.
Is that something, you mentioned that the tables are kept there, is that something we could put all of our tabletop materials in a tote bin with the tables, or is there no other space there?
So we have a little bit of a difficulty with that because we rent the space out. If they're not high value, I can probably find some space in there. There is space under the sinks in there.
I'm thinking just a tote bin with our paperwork and a
Yes.
tablecloth.
just a little.
Yeah, so we've
Yeah.
tried some things, but this year, I have been every year, I'm recommitted to going in there and trying to figure this out on how we can keep some more supplies there. I know we obviously aren't keeping our PA system there, but we have some other things that are like, they're important. We don't want to see them walk off, but the inconvenience of having to like lug them all around
Sure.
is worth me looking at. So I am going to look again and see if we can figure something out with Public Works. But yes, I think we do that for our city council. So we actually keep them out here because they can get into that outer part of the building. And they have totes that they use for the farmer's market and their canopy. So we do this. It's something that we're used to doing. So I do think that those ideas of tabling, having shirts, like I don't have a shirt because I work for the city, but it's like, I go there a lot and it's like, it would probably be nice. Sometimes I wear my name tag, but again, you want people to be able to identify those people
High
are
vis
with
colors.
this event, so,
Also have to realize. Now that tree over
yes, yeah. And they may do that, might get some of that.
there.
Direct them to the
Yes.
right place.
And usually what we do, like for our city council, we have a clipboard that has a like name, phone number, email, question.
Yeah.
Because they get questions, they're like, I have no idea. And they're like, hey, if you write it down, we'll pass it on to city staff. So we can do that. But yeah, so I think that's what they're talking about is they would really appreciate that we just have more, like,
Yeah.
we are in charge.
Yeah.
And so, and it's not that they're not willing to help, they are, but they're kind of feeling inundated and we don't know when the music's starting. We don't know who the band is. So yeah, I said that I would pass that on. We do the food.
I barely got them into the shelter that first day.
Yeah.
And so like I saw.
Yeah, you saw that in
saw
here.
the
Yes,
shelter, yes.
yes, so it's good. Okay,
But the other thing that made me remember is that one time, some of the city council members were there.
yes.
But that's, was not on a really regular basis, because they had a table that said,
Mhm.
talk or ask questions or whatever, or is that something they're planning on?
They decided not to do that again last year. They did it one year. They
Okay.
committed to, they put it on, they have a list that they do signups for farmer's market. They put that on there. They did have some participation in it, but they just decided they didn't feel like it was worth that effort because they were having a hard time even filling the farmer's market slots. So they just decided we better just focus on presence at one event so that we're more consistently there. So yeah, I'm just writing down some notes here so I make sure that I get them.
We can set up a suggestion box for them.
Yeah.
People can drop in.
Yeah, we have all that stuff. So we pretty much have things already. But it would be, I think it will be good. And probably if you go to other community concerts that are a little bit bigger and have been around this long, they probably have something similar. I'm
grew
gonna
up in
try.
Albany with the like river rhythms. and
Albany is pretty
things like that.
big,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
I am going to try to go to Monmouth this year to at least one of their concerts because they're a little bit bigger than us. I know that they have pretty active music in the park. They have quite a few vendors. I have talked to them before when I did research for our concert series here. But it would be, nice to just go experience it and see, what they're doing. I know Harrisburg has concerts, so there's some other small communities local to us that do. Okay, Independence does, but theirs are huge. I've been to them. They have a huge amphitheater, so a little bit different. Okay, so, yeah, so we have the concert host. So then, yes, we do have the, this brochure, which has a lot of information, I know. We hope that it is laid out in a way that, especially when you're new and haven't done it before, that you can, kind of figure out, here's what I need to do, to start. If you ever have questions, you can always reach out to me. You will have my number after this meeting, as I'm not going to give it to everyone, but you will have it. And so you can always reach out to me. So if I'm not at concerts, you'll still have my number and reachable. But we also have emergency contacts for like facility issues. You know, if there's any kind of an issue that you feel is like facility related, the water won't shut off, the sprinklers just came on, the electricity is not working. They have an after hours number. If they don't answer, call it back. If they are still not answering or calling you back, call me and I will definitely find someone who will tell them to answer the phone.
Last year on a Sunday concert, it was after that big reunion thing they have in the park.
Yeah.
And the garbage cans were all full
Oh,
of chicken.
oh no, the
And
bees.
bees were.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
So we did call them, and they came and did the best they could.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Wow,
So
not
that's
fun.
one question I have, and we can talk about this, and is the introducing the band and trying to figure out the collecting the money.
Mhm.
So I kind of fell into let the band introduce themselves at the beginning, because a lot of times the people aren't there yet.
Mhm.
And then at the intermission time, one of the board members would go up and do the spiel there and then talk about collecting the money.
Mhm.
But I don't know, is it,
Yeah, we're getting
What-
really negative feedback about that,
we?
not just from the Lions. Yes, people
Because-
do not know that this is a city event, that we're running a concert. People are feeling like a band shows up and starts playing. I've had that feedback
okay,
from
no, that's good, that's
several
good.
groups, which is why we said, well, let's try laying it out different. I did, I
an
watched a
MC.
couple, kind of, like I got online and was like, let's look at music in the park and how they are introing them.
Yeah, for sure.
So I watched a few and they really do kind of get up, let people know. Not everyone is there, and that's why we tried the other way. I think some of what I think we need to discuss is the Philomath Performing Arts Benefit Fund donations. It's a great program. Our volunteers are doing the lift for the most part, from what I'm understanding, of going around getting the money. They usually have a board member there who takes the money from us. I don't know that they're participating or not. I can't really say, but in my experience, I think they're kind of not. The park board members have been doing it,
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I
which
mean,
is fine, but it's also, if it's taking away from the music event, helping vendors, answering questions, I think we need to maybe think of some ways that we could still do that and not, and which may be that we have a table and the jug is there and you're saying, please come back. You know, people are more likely to donate when you walk around and say, donate to
I
the
think a
jug.
combination of the both, having it on the table and then maybe at one point, intermission or something.
but you're saying maybe at the intermission, if I'm hearing it right, have one of the Philomath Performing Arts Benefit Fund members do it rather than,
I don't know. I don't really have a good suggestion. I just think that it's one of the things that has been a sticking point at our concerts.
well, I think it's, yeah, it is, because people don't quite understand.
Right.
And that's where, try at intermissions,
Yeah.
say, this is why we're coming around with this
Right.
big jug.
I think it'd be good to have them up there, if we're talking at the intermission, they come with like their red shirt or something, and then they can just give their 30-second
Can
speech
they
of
say
what it
something?
is, because
Right.
I'm like, well, we're buying instruments, and brass instruments are really expensive, so.
Sure. Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, and I know a few years ago, we did give them some feedback and they tried to come and do tabling. That was, I think it just ended up being a lot of effort for them and wasn't necessarily helping. But they've been willing to try some other things. So I just think it's a thing that we might want to look at. And the reason why is, like Larry said, I think we have a lot of new people that are coming. So years ago, it was really just word of mouth, and it was people who live in Philomath, and they were there, and they knew what this was, and they knew the jug, and they knew the drill, and they're like, let's do it.
You can make it bigger than that now.
Yeah, and so now I think we're drawing more people. We have bands that are from different places. They're bringing people who listen to them, and they don't really understand, why are you walking around with a jug?
Yeah.
And it's confusing. So that's why I say, I think before we start this year, let's brainstorm some ideas, talk about it at our next meeting. I can also reach out to Kay McGee, who's been our main contact with the Performing Arts Benefit Fund, see if she's interested in coming and
Yeah.
talking to you, or at least
Yeah.
submitting some information.
Even that is, I'm sorry, you, it's like a script for us from them
Yeah.
Yeah,
would help
Yeah.
us as
Sure.
NCs during the event.
And like the
They can
last,
use
sorry,
Okay.
the last band, BTW Light, like they're from Philomath. You were their principal, and they probably benefited from that fund.
Right.
Like it's all
Yeah.
connected
That's
and
cool.
aligned.
That's a good note.
One feat, I think, at the beginning or at some point, kind of mentioning, even name dropping future performers might be good to say, here's the lineup through the summer. Cause like, if this isn't your flavor of music, we have this
Sure.
band coming.
Intermission might be good
Yeah,
for that.
and then definitely those, I didn't realize so many people get their information from the little flyers we hand
yeah,
out.
the
and, like,
quarter sheets.
the quarter sheets are what they put on the fridge so that they will come to the next one.
Yeah.
They were like asking me specifically
Yeah.
for
And
that.
I found that you have those, so they're just little quarter sheets that has the list of bands. And so as they go walk around and get donations, they give you something and you give them something.
Yeah.
So it's nice. It's also something that you would have on a table.
Mhm.
that we-
Yeah.
so-
Take, yeah.
Yeah, and we also have a sandwich board, which we actually have our own now because I bought the city council their own. We got a sandwich board, the city council said, that's really great, we want to put things on it, and we were having conflicts. So they have their own now. So that also usually is like a giant printout of our poster and has the concerts on it, so.
We keep mentioning having booths and tables, and I think this could possibly solve a lot of the issues.
I think it could.
Or help with,
Yeah,
at least.
yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
telling the vendors, the other vendors and people coming that they can bring that as well.
Yeah. And by the way, like the script is not a, exact word for word. If you want it in a different format, we can just send a word email format. It is really just to make sure we're checking boxes mostly by giving them the important information and thanking people who are obviously there and making it happen. So,
Correcting some of the complaints.
yeah.
And I
So,
think You're talking about having a script from the
Yeah,
donation funding. I think it's important to say, last year, the X number of dollars
Right.
were donated, and this is what we bought from, because
Yeah.
they can tell you that, pretty well.
okay,
Kay, probably is the
Yeah.
one that we could maybe.
Yeah, and
Um,
yeah. I think there's been some of that too. Not everyone is comfortable speaking. That is the biggest, I don't want to say like hiccup, but hiccup that we've had with volunteering for music in the park.
Gotta have MCs for something like
Yeah.
this. Got
Like,
to.
like people are often uncomfortable. I used to go to all of the music in the parks, but I already work at over 40 hours a week and, I have a family too, so I try to balance it out. So I usually come to about half of them if I can. And I will sometimes help people because I'm a nice person. If you're like, Chelsea, I'm really nervous, I don't want to speak, I will get up and speak. But it's a little tough, and, among each other, if you know or you recognize, like, I cannot speak publicly. It's maybe good to try to pair up too with someone who's a little more comfortable.
Yeah,
for sure.
And to be like it's generally fine, but I speak a lot. I'm in public meetings a lot. I'm in council meetings. I'm not by nature a public speaker, but I do have to do it in my job. So I recognize that it is difficult if you're not regularly
Well,
doing that.
And I think it's important whenever we get up to introduce the band or whatever, that whichever committee members are there should be up there, whether they speak or not.
And they,
So that
and they
we
can, maybe that's more helpful.
We can
Yeah.
say, these are our the committee members that are here today. Not everybody has to speak.
Exactly.
Strengthen numbers too.
Yeah.
Because getting up and being the only person in front of, sometimes there are over 100 people there, 100, 125.
Sounds fun.
Doesn't seem like that much, but when you stand up in front of them, it's a lot of people. So I get it, but let's just try to keep an open dialogue about that and work through it.
Who did it last year? Was there one specific person on the board that kind of took charge, or was it just whoever was there?
No,
Last year was pretty balanced.
whoever was there.
Yeah.
We could flip coins.
Arm wrestle for it.
I think the other thing is now you have in here picking up the PA system.
Yes,
So one of the things that we've had issues with is if they can't hear us.
yeah,
And I think with this PA system, they can.
yes.
And because the band system doesn't always work, and because I go back and sit down, and my wife would say, "I didn't hear a word you said." You go, "Oh, that's great."
Thanks for raising your hand,
It's not.
It's very compact.
You can get their attention. So, I think that's also important to have.
It's very
So
easy to
that's good.
use. Yeah,
The power situation,
yes.
I'd assume, is that easy? Is that difficult? Haven't seen it, so.
So the power, when you go to the gazebo, it's to the left. You'll see it. There's a power box there. It's been easy. Last year, the last band actually they hired someone to do sound. They had a little bit of issues with the power. We did get it resolved, but that's why I say you're gonna have the Public Works number here, if you're having issues like that. I did ask Public Works, but I'm gonna connect with them again, to check in about the power.
Did that last band, was there not enough power there for them?
It was just a little wonky. It was being really temperamental and touchy, and we had some issues. Thankfully, I had dropped by there early for some reason, and I was checking out the power in the Kugler shelter, and we kind of figured it out and we got them going. But other than that I know of, we haven't really had issues. Most bands don't have a big system that they're bringing. They're pretty small. But if you have issues like that, just get a hold of Public Works. This is part of why, the bands usually come early, but it's part of why we try to get someone there at 4:30.
Yeah.
There's not a lot going on at 4:30, but if we're going to have a table, that'll be a great time to set the table up, talk to the band.
Welcome
sure,
the
yeah.
other groups that are there, like the Lions Club, so they,
Yeah, and exactly. So that's some of the things that,
we're there for.
we try to be mindful of people's
Yeah.
time, and obviously, like when you have work, that slot might not work out for everyone, but maybe on the weekend it will. But it is nice to have that presence, be there early, shake out any issues like that with power, that hopefully will not happen. but-
Yeah, I always try to check in like with the vendors, the food vendors and the bands and say, but the bands are pretty self-sufficient.
Generally, they are. They
Or
usually
set-
checked it out.
They set it up and,
Good.
Yeah.
and so.
Yeah.
But I think it is important to talk to them.
Yes, yeah. And I send out communication before the bands are coming. So I send out communication by email to them a couple weeks before, let them know where the power is, let them know who to contact if they are having struggles or they can't find anyone, so I do send them out kind of a little welcome, here's some information for you to get started. We also printed out a map. We couldn't quite put it in here, but we hope that helps because we have heard people sometimes struggling on where do we tell people to set up. So we don't we officially have the vendors that are listed in here. We have occasionally had a couple, like handmade goods type vendors that wanted to come. They usually reach out to us before and we'll just let them know like, yes, we don't really have a rule for or against as long as you're not doing anything that
Yep.
is super offensive that you shouldn't be.
Yes.
But if they come, we generally tell them to set up over there in that section 3. That's usually where Mud Oven Pizza sets up over there somewhere. They know where they want to be. The Lions, they know where they want to be, but it kind of helps know. There are restrooms in that Kugler shelter for the band members. They do usually have to access that through the Lions kitchen because the other door is not unlocked. But you can just kind of let them know, like, if you need to get in there, just let the Lions know, they'll let you through.
Yeah, usually that door is.
It's usually open, so you just have to kind of say, we need to come through, so let them know that. Obviously, the other restrooms are over here, but when you're in the band, you probably don't want to hike all the way over there.
So those shelter restrooms are band only and essentially.
Yes, and they're blocked by the Lions on Wednesdays. And Mud Oven, I don't know if they keep that door open. I can't really quite remember if they keep it propped open or not, but Mud Oven Pizza also has access to
Okay, cool.
the cooler shelter. So yeah, it's just for band members and vendors only. Yeah, and then the gazebo, obviously that's where the band sets up. And like I said, the power is, I mean, if you're looking at it this way, it's on the right. Yes, and we don't have any concerts pushed into the later summer. Last year, we had a couple that we kind of pushed and it started to get dark and that was kind of an issue, but I think we're hopefully not gonna have that this year. Maybe that August concert, the last one, it will get slightly dark, but it should be fine.
Almost a good thing that our first is a smaller one since we are a newer board. You can
Yeah, sure.
Feel it out.
Yeah, although it's definitely, it's a very different vibe, that first concert, but it is fun. I mean, it's very cool to see the students come, and I'll tell you, those middle schoolers, they're great. I think they really, really, really like their teacher. They're always pretty enthusiastic. So, yeah. So, next steps, I will send out kind of like a volunteer sign up link to you all with the dates and
So,
yeah.
that worked out well, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that worked for me at least.
And I think it even sent us reminders that, hey, you're on this.
Yeah, send you reminders. If you need to cancel, that is fine. If it's kind of short notice, if you can just reach out to me by email, or if it's really short notice, like text me.
Sure.
Just so that, things happen, things come up, but if you are in you can do it. Obviously, if there's a real emergency, well, it'll carry on, the band will play.
Right.
But just try to let us know because we can hopefully get someone to kind of come help and fill in.
Right.
So, yeah. Otherwise, that first concert, it would be great even if you're not signed up, and you want to just come check it out. We'll have shirts. You can wear your shirt. You don't have to officially do duties, but especially if you're newer and you're not signed up, it would give you a great opportunity to see how it functions and kind of get a feel for it. Yeah. Okay, any other questions or comments?
So let's see, do we have to have a May meeting? do you think?
I don't think we have business at this time. The only thing we're going to do is finalize the poster, get that printed, get quarter sheets, but I can, by email. Sure, so I can just by email send you information for picking up things or helping with distribution of flyers. Yeah, I did put a little information about just flyer distribution.
Yes.
So generally, we can just, if you feel like you will go somewhere where you can drop up little stacks of the quarter sheets or put something up on a board. I am going to look and see if we're able to get posters printed this year. I almost would prefer even if we had to have fewer, if we have something that stays a little better, because it has to stay for such a long period of time, or just printed paper flyers tend to disappear, get ripped off. The ink, gets all messed up.
So you could put them around in businesses and they would
And they look a little
last,
more
yeah.
like, leave this up for the summer. So I'm looking into that to see if we can, if we have enough of a budget to get some printed.
It just made me think as well, when you said leave it up for the summer, the road signs that we had mentioned about too, seeing if those would, how long they would last, because we would need them out, you know.
Oh, like the little yard sign?
Yeah, the yard
Yeah, so
signs.
those would probably have to, because we do have sign ordinances,
Yeah,
we would probably have to put them out and take them, like kind of, they'd have to be put out and taken back a couple times a month, like you said. So we'll see. I might not get the go-ahead. I'm like, yes, have the staff do that twice a month. I may just say, I'll go do it. I don't know. But I do think it's a good idea. People notice those things and they,
You're talking about like the little campaign
just
signs.
a little yard sign size. Yeah, exactly. The banners, yeah, the banners stay up. Those are made to be outdoor, so those will stay up and
Sure.
they do get noticed. People notice them when they go into the park.
Yeah.
You know, oh, I came for a reunion. I had no idea you had this. I've heard people at concerts say, I saw that banner when I was here a month ago and now I'm here at the concert. So, yeah, they work. Okay.
Yard signs.
And so are we looking at having at least 2 people per concert?
Yes.
Okay.
So those yard signs, we could divide it up, so it's like everyone kind of has an area.
yeah.
Or not everyone, but like,
Yeah,
I'll put 5 in my neighborhood and you
Yeah.
put 5 in yours. And
exactly.
what I've been finding with the quarter sheets and now the full sheets is keeping out, there's a lot of little like community bulletin boards in restaurants and like areas that like, that's their designated spot. And so you have like your spots and then just go put it up and then check halfway through the summer and see if it's still
Yeah,
there.
and
There's a lot of those.
I didn't think about it. I could just take one of those signs and put it in my yard and either leave it there
Sure.
or I could
Yeah.
take it back and
Yeah.
and that would, yeah.
Yeah, it's something, yeah.
That's a good point. Maybe instead of just putting them up all over, we speak to the businesses and they just put them up in front of their businesses along the main roads, you know? It's up to
Yeah, I
them.
don't know how that.
Yeah, again,
interferes with-
I'll double check on our sign ordinances.
Ordinances, yeah.
The city doesn't want to be violating sign ordinance.
Right,
That doesn't go
absolutely.
well.
Doesn't look great.
Yeah, it does not look great. Yeah, so there'll just be more information about that as we get closer. The flyers and posters will come soonest. We give people until the end of April for sponsorships to get us their logos. So they'll be in May that we'll start promoting.
Cool.
Yeah, so, yeah, okay.
And I asked about the June 5th meeting, and then there's the
Oh, May
next
5th,
one
yeah.
would be May 5th. And then the next one would be June 2nd. So do we want to have one then, and kind of debrief?
Yeah, I think it would be good and prep for our next, yeah.
And then that would,
I think we're fine to skip May unless anyone has anything really pressing. I think we're much more organized. We've done a lot of work in the past few years to try to be more organized about how this all plays out. We don't have to do as much planning during the meetings as we used to.
Yeah, thanks for organizing this and getting them
Yeah.
together.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'll send you all the info for this.
Perfect.
So you can have that. Okay,
all right, is there anything else on music and the park planning?
for me.
If not, we'll go back to the agenda. We've got staff updates. You've pretty much done all your staff updates, or have you?
Yeah, I could just say, the exercise equipment at City Park, if anyone has been there, it's, all dug out and there's equipment going in.
Oh, okay.
We did have one hiccup with the trapeze. It's like the largest piece of equipment that you can like trapeze rings. But it's just a matter of getting an adapter that, like, it should have just come with it, but apparently it doesn't, so we have to order that. But otherwise, yeah, they're getting it in, so that's exciting. We weren't actually sure they were going to be able to get it
Yeah.
in this fiscal year, because of that adjacent project that's happening, but they got the go-ahead. So that's exciting.
Is there like an estimated time till they're completed?
I don't know for sure, but I do know they're like actively working on the project. And I went there, it's probably been a week and a half or 2 ago, and it was just dug out. But last week at my management team meeting, they did say that they were starting to assemble it. So I don't think it takes a lot of effort once they get to putting it in. It was really the prep work was probably more. So
Awesome.
we're gonna, And we'll plan a kind of a ribbon cutting for that. So those generally are during the day, sometimes they're after, but we usually just tell the park board if there's anyone that wants to show up, especially this guy, who's the chair, the mayor will likely come and we'll do kind of just a little, yay, this is open. Does anyone want to show off the equipment and show how like awesome they are and how they can trapeze across the
Yeah,
whole
that's it.
thing? Or do like a pull-up contest with the mayor. You know, he's really tall, so he probably just is, yeah, so I don't know, he might win, but yeah. So anyway, more info to follow on that too. Yeah. I'm gonna get some info on that and send it out to you.
All right, board updates, anything the board has updates?
At this time, nope.
Future discussion items, anybody have anything? We've got we'll just kind of debrief on June 2nd, the May 21st one. And you might have something else on that one item that got cut off or.
Yeah, we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Good. Does anybody have any questions in general?
Nothing right now.
I will give one more quick update if I can go back to staff updates.
Okay.
We are engaging with University of Oregon Sustainable Year City program. I won't go deeply into it, but essentially what it is we hire them at a low cost to help us complete projects. We give them a big project list. They push it out to these classes, and for a term, the classes will take on a project that we have. There are some park-related projects in there, like looking at the feasibility and location for a dog park. We have the bigger facilities plan for the 3 parks. They said that might be too big for them to do in a term, but it is one of the projects we have on the list. So I will update you on if they pick any of those projects that are park board related, and then they will likely work a little bit with the park board, maybe come to a park board meeting. It's really exciting. They have a lot of energy, different perspective. We don't always have people that are in that age group that are engaging on our city projects and business. So it's very cool. We're excited, but I'll keep you posted.
Okay.
Okay, that's it.
Anything else? If not, we will adjourn the meeting at 6:35.
Thanks, everyone.
And, well, I guess we'll see you next at the
May 21st.
21st.
Yep.
And that's still 6 to 8 timeframe.
Yeah, 6 to 7.
6 to 7.
Starts at 6.
That's
Let's
a
just say
short-
that.
Could be the last year or year before.
We had a 6 to 6:30.